Welcome. If you're just joining us, this is In the Flow. If you liked Bob Ross and you like visual effects, this is the place for you. This isn't like a technical explanation, it's more of just more of like the creative process behind some of these things. I'm noticing that it has to come up higher on the Y right here because it looks like it's kind of skimming the surface. I want to make it feel like it's came down and jumped up right above the cliff. So this is the path of again. Right. Just take a look at the Y position. And when I'm sort of talking here, I'm just sort of envisioning that one of my kids is curious about special effects, and just as I would talk to them, so it's not like you have to have a big understanding of. Let's see. So basically, I'm just focusing on this one element, which represents the path of the soul as it's sort of interpreted through Greek mythology. Um, Greek mythology, like any sort of mythology or religion, is an attempt to explain the unexplainable, and so these images might change how it's depicted, but basically, this is my interpretation of how people in ancient Greece may have envisioned their place in the universe. So that's that one element of the soul. And if you are curious about, if you want to learn more about that, you can watch some of the previous ones. I think, again, I'm not very technical, and I'm not sure if I'm actually streaming. And sometimes you can just isolate certain layers. This is basically the timeline. Starts at 0 and goes as long as you want. And this button here just allows me to collapse it all. And this, so I can only focus on the two that I are, to the layers that I need to tweak. And I'm not sure if I play music in the background, if it will mute, but I like to work with music. Me and my best friends cruising down Western Street. So the idea here is that as the soul's moving through this sort of tapestry of different vignettes that describe some of the stories in the mythology, it kind of leaves an impression. I meant to turn it up. Not this forward. So I'm focusing on the one element, but this is what it will look like when it's done. But it's hard to tell sometimes when you're basically the light is emitting particles, and it's meant to kind of blend in with the background. You can see it more in motion because they're at different planes, basically. So here it is. It's coming up above the cliff and discovering like a human reaching out for essentially, I guess, just visually represents like a human connection to the divine. So this is there's more impressions in this area. That's why there's more particles being emitted. Okay. Oh, okay. I see. I was getting confused on this frame here before because I thought that it was skimming the surface of the water, but actually, when I comp this, I will put this layer of this the ocean back on top of it, so it'll make sense. Okay, let me see if I have some other music on here. This is good. Let's stick with this. I don't really care if you don't understand. You know what? Oh, that's alright. Okay, sorry. I don't really mind if you don't really mind. So a lot of times when I'm doing these live streams, I'm just kind of making mental notes for myself as well. So you can hear background noise. So feel free to mute me if this is. So that's like an intentional thing here with this kind of diving off the top. Okay. I'm going to have this move over here on the X so that it kind of goes down her arm more because, these stories are all just, before you could write down things, there's nothing more permanent than constellation. So if you wanted to pass along stories to future generations, it's a very, seemingly timeless. So anyways, these stories, a lot of times these constellations have stories behind them, obviously. Let me see. I'm going to put on something I know just... I like there's a song coming up soon that says, I already forgot everything you said, which is how I I feel when I watch normal visual effects tutorials. Like for those 10 minutes, it makes sense, and then for me, the best way to learn these things is just to have personal projects that you are going to be motivated to find the effects that you need to. And this applies, I think, to any, whether you want to do a mural or, with real paint, or if you want to do something visual effects, just come up with the idea, and then just figure out how you're going to do it. Because the medium, one second, too many things at once. One of the things that I think it's interesting about working in this medium for me is the idea that it's you can go in infinite directions, big or small. So there's and why I use After Effects. After Effects is the tool that I do these prints in, and by the way, I'm very software agnostic. I don't I use After Effects, but any of the products that I mentioned, I just use it because I want. Again, if this was like one of my kids listening, I would just tell. This is what I would be telling them. Okay, so this has too much of a curve this way, so I just want to have it line up more with the arm, so it feels like someone's jumping off the cliff. Um, Basically, the soul is about to experience the life of a human in that time period. So, one second. I need to pull this one here more. Yeah, that's cool. So now that star pattern kind of forms her fingers. You just imagine that this is what someone, you know, um, in a relatively short amount of time, generations wise, this is how our ancestors would basically communicate from one generation on, is to put these stories into the constellations. So this is kind of like Rebirth of Gaia is kind of like. Oh, you know what? It's too far on the Y. So Rebirth of Gaia is like an opportunity for me to. Oh, there we go. Kind of go up a little more. To visualize these different concepts. So it's kind of doing two things at once, or many things, I guess. One, these sort of projects encourage or kind of motivate me to not give up if you're trying to learn something. So I wouldn't, if you're trying to learn visual effects or whatever you're trying to learn, I again really recommend coming up with an idea of what you want to do first. I mean, that's the first. There has to be an intention behind it, and then just kind of go from there. So okay, I've already done the camera move is like a separate. Um, you know what? Let's put this on the background. Okay, so let's be realistic. My kids would have left long before this point, so especially since they don't like my music. Give it time and we wonder why. Do what we can, laugh when we cry, and we sleep in your dust because we've seen this all before. Culture fades with tears and grace, leaving us stunned, hollow with shame. We have seen this all before. Many tribes of a modern kind, doing brand new work, same spirit by our side, joining hearts and hands in ancestral twine, ancestral twine. There's another part of me that thinks that maybe, technically it would look better, or it would look, theoretically more correct if you don't see these stars here in the final comp, because they would be occluded or, covered by the ocean here. But the nice thing about personal projects too is that you can just make up, you can't go wrong, so I could just say, all right, well, that's because that represents the soul, and the soul is not like bound by, I don't know, the physics of this world, for example. So, anyways. So that feels good. So you'll see that over time, the perfect swirls that were here a second ago. I have the stars moving in different directions, to kind of suggest that, over time, even within the universe, if you were to do like a time lapse of the universe forming, you'd see all these different swirls. And we look at it as the stars pretty much being fixed in place, but it's all just a matter of scale. So if you were to condense that, you would see a lot of the same sort of, well, I'm making this up, but I feel like Calvin and Hobbes is dead. I think that's looking pretty cool. I think it helps too. Okay. Only thing is, I feel like these should be higher at this point. So what I can do is turn on. Okay, cool. So it's gonna work. Perfect. Okay. So basically, within particular, you've got, you don't have as many options as you do with some of the other particle programs, but it is really good at what it does. So pretty much most of the particles I've ever done have been with particular. But there are limitations. I mean, there's only one spherical field, but what I'm going to do is animate the power of this sphere that's going to be in that position. So I'm going to adjust the strength. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's going to be spreading these stars out over time. Okay, So that's the limit for the strength. So then I'm going to adjust the radius so that it'll go further. Okay, so I think that's cool. That's cool. The nice thing is I'm doing this over time, so that's another thing with this medium. It allows you to zoom in and out, um, essentially infinitely. You could just keep zooming in and finding details, but it also allows you to do that on the scale of time. And I think a lot of times people will limit themselves in a particle animation as far as the time frame of it. It's kind of cool to have it drifting over 8 minutes. And again, you can't really go wrong with anything, so that helps too. All right, so let's see what this looks like. So when I'm adjusting the frame rate and how many to skip, it's basically what I was just describing about the. Well, you know what? I don't want the stars to go that direction. Yeah, I don't know how to see this sphere. I'm sure there's a way, but I need to move the position of it so it pushes them up. So I need to move this to the right. Okay. Um, and I need to make it even. Let's see. Oh, that's kind of cool. Like a wave. I like that. Okay, so let me find something. Okay, cool. So now you've got like the stars animating like a splash. I think it's going too fast though, so let me put this back here. It can take longer to expand, basically. And what would be kind of interesting is if you wanted to do like a shockwave, you could have it going up and then um, pull it back in a little bit. So maybe even do like a negative value. This is going to look too much, but just to demonstrate, it's going to pull it all into. Actually, that's a good way for me to see where the center of the sphere is. 1 second. Okay, so the position. I don't know how this would work, but oh, works exactly as I thought it was going to. So I was trying to figure out who would ever want to watch something like this, and I guess I was just thinking kind of like Bob Ross. I was describing it to my dad as, it's just like kind of like watching paint dry, but I kind of liked watching Bob Ross sometimes. So okay, so now it's going way too fast. I need to slow it down to get me a sense of how fast those are moving. Okay, so I wanted to see, like right here, if it's expanding and then goes back in, what that would look like. Okay, so it starts expanding. Trust me, I know this is super low resolution, but it's a limitation of the um, of the current technology, I guess. Okay, so it's going out, back in. No, I don't think it's unnecessary. So ideally, I can't, um, I don't have the patience for how slow this is going, so um, I want to just kind of move on. So basically, at this point, the soul has left the hand and is. It's almost like the hand is inviting the spirit world into the human world. It's reaching out for the divine. So a lot of Rebirth of Gaia is about that connection between the human and the divine. The points of intersection, I guess. So, for example, you'll see it, where the Eros is reaching out to touch Gaia's hand. You'll see it when, you know, there's comfort exchanged with the tree of Daphne. Um, and even in like the position where um, chaos, like the human head inside of the spirit head, the point of intersection is at the pineal gland, which um, just look into that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this off for a second because I can't really see what's going on. Okay, so, oh, that's cool. So this is like the path of the star, and then over time it's going to sort of become more diffuse, less defined. I don't know. I mean, I suppose on some level that's got to be accurate. That there at some point was form. Like, I wonder if you were to. Anyways, I want to. But the point is that this is, perhaps at the time that the ancient Egyptians would look up into the skies, it would look something like this, and so stories would be written about, about that um, sense of reality, I guess, or their um, what they perceive to be, which is really not a lot different from where we are right now. Okay, let me see if I were to increase this. So I want to really make it feel it. This is expanding.
It comes to me upon the strings when I hear it. Well, I say I can't say it's my creation. Stay impatient.
Oh,
What
that's
it
cool.
brings.
Because I like how the lens flare creates a different sense of motion than the actual particle trails. So in other words, different parts of the screen are lighting up depending not on the position only of the particle emitter, in this case the soul, but also um, uh, dependent upon the source of the viewer. So it's pretty cool dynamic there. Okay, that is okay. To fix that, that's the it's not fix that, but to adjust that, I should say. That's within Video Copilot. Let me just get rid of some of these things. I don't know.
Some we like to fight a giant plan, a secret attack. But the more you're pushing, the more it's pushing you back. So you can't rush your healing.
Wow. Okay, cool. I was just looking at the previous version that I had done.
As it's teaching. Love is never leaving.
And
You can't rush your healing.
another one.
Your healing.
So I'm constantly auditioning different options, I guess. That might sound kind of insane, but um, partly because I have a really bad memory and I forget that I've already done this. But the advantage of that is I can see if what I've just spent the last, um, like if that was worth going back and redoing. Now, I mean, obviously I knew that I was just tweaking something, but let's make sure that this tweaking. Oh man. Okay, this is painful if it's this slow. This is a remake of You Can't Rush Your Rendering. Ah, I like this idea. That's kind of interesting if there's two. Maybe just for that one part. Oh, it's like souls departing. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I don't know if it would make sense to have it anywhere else. Let's see. there's just too many questions about the symbolism of that. Ow. Getting a standing desk soon. Okay, so I think I'm just going to turn it on. Here.
Told me I'm that Mr. Boy, told me I'm that tree. Don't you be afraid of my child. Don't you be afraid of what they say. I don't get that arrow made a sense of thinking.
Okay, so the only thing is I would need to not have the trail come up yet. That's all. Okay, so it's like that other soul has already been there. Like the one of them is just joining. Wait, I did the wrong one.
I've got to play like a child in her lap. No defending, no attack. I know that she was got my back. Oh, 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 oh,
I guess you don't really know somebody else's experience, so maybe that's why you can't really see the other trails. That's cool. Just like a little glimpse of another soul. Like when you go to, like when you have a really deep conversation with somebody else. It's like, oh, two souls. Okay. Uh-huh.
You were staring into full moon as a white whale. I could see the circle coming around.
Okay, so there's not going to be any star trails here. Okay, so then when look at this real quick, just to see. This is the previous version. Okay, so oh yeah, this is the next one. Okay, so I think what I need to do here is I simplify the move so that when they're talking about when humankind encounters basically things that you cannot comprehend, then that's when you, or I'm sorry, it was like majestic beauty, or I forget what it is. But that would be at this part here, because at first it's like the wonder because it's out of focus. You kind of get a glimpse of um, the spirit world or something. And this, as it's getting closer, it's becoming more defined for you. And that's where, when someone has that divine revelation, that's that spark that's sort of, as you'll see in a few minutes, that's the spark that is translated then into places of worship like the Parthenon back in ancient Greece. That's Rico. I hope. Okay, so now I'm gonna. Okay, so go back here. that's kind of a mistake. This is the lens flare from the soul. That's way, 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 way on the other side of the composition right now. I mean, if you were to look off screen, this would be like 30 TVs to the right. Yeah, maybe not that far. 10 TVs. But the point is, it's kind of like a happy accident where I have that thing animated in the background, and because of the optical flares plugin, it creates like lighting artifacts. I guess I'm not exactly sure that's the right word, but so anyways, this is like still what would you call it, a hint of the soul's journey. But what's interesting though is that it's going to, by definition, it's gonna line up perfectly with the motion of everything else because it's all one camera move. So using that to my advantage, I guess I can um, maximize the fact that it's all one camera move. And this is one of those things. It's like a happy accident that the lens flare from way off camera is perfectly manipulating it. I'm sure people who are more familiar with lenses would not find um, that interesting. I think that's good because ultimately, this is going to be warped. That's probably too much. Probably a little bit too much saturation. So, that's interesting. Let me let me go back real quick just to see something. Oh yeah, I guess I have to do this eventually. There's a, so if you want to see how I got to this part where the coming out of Chaos's mouth, basically it's the idea that the human mind can kind of breathe our own reality into existence. Um, okay. Okay, so I think I'm going to. Okay, so this is one of those times where I'm definitely going to turn down the back plate. So you kind of see where the horses are, but it's not. Um, it's not really that. You can, more importantly, you can see where the stars are. Okay, this is going to. Okay, sorry, I guess I did have it. It just seems that I think I'm doing this in the wrong order. I feel like it should be back there first and then come forward. So let me reverse that. Okay, so to do that, basically what I'm saying is this is the soul's journey throughout Rebirth of Gaia. And this next section of the video starts by talking about, the sense of depth that's created by having things in the distance, less saturated, less contrast, a little bit more blurry. So that's where the light should go first. Right now, I think I have it wrong because it goes here first. The idea before was that by the time the camera comes back up here, that these would be more dispersed. But I think, well, let's see. I think the thing I'm missing though, yeah, I think the thing I'm missing is it's an opportunity for the camera because this is a pretty big camera move. Yeah, I think that I'm missing an opportunity to have the camera flying through some of these right now because that's what I'm talking about is the basically Z depth. Again, kids, X, Y, and Z. Again, my audience is undefined, I guess, but I am talking as if I'm hanging out with my kids and they wanted to ask some questions about it. How I do this. Hint, hint, kids. The commentary is peppered with dad jokes. Okay, so this is. Okay, so basically, I need to, I think, get rid of a lot of these keyframes in here. So the next one. Okay, so that makes sense. That's where this one leaves off. The next time it, it's like catching a train, or the next time it needs to be anywhere would be. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, that's right, right here. Okay, so this. Okay, so this goes by here. As soon as this goes off screen, like right around here. Okay. Then we're safe to delete any keyframes that are. Let's see. Okay. The only other point that I think was completely necessary was like right here, for example. This is an arbitrary position. Let's see. This one. Arbitrary. Okay, so this is all good here. But actually, it's completely arbitrary too. Wait, where's the last one? This one? That means that all these are arbitrary. Do you understand the significance? Okay, so I get rid of those. And then when I'm here, okay, so this at this point it should be furthest back on Z. So I need to move these up.
Sun coming up on the earth, open up strong and we learn. Never done,
Okay,
never do we learn.
that was lucky.
Who is the one that we seek? Who is the one within we? I don't
Okay, but that actually, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so
answer. But I know hope it has wings. I can see rest with the king. Let it shine unbounded.
okay.
Out of the mouth comes the water. Out of the earth.
Okay, so then this is the furthest back in Z. So I think this one here, we want to lift it up because I think it should circle around the last like horse to kind of represent the to represent. One second.
Lead us into patience. Made you the mist on the ceiling. Let it rain down for us.
Okay, so this again, this part here doesn't really matter.
Well, I love you and I mean it. Hey, little child, can you feel it? Let it come full circle. I'm giving up on separation.
Okay.
Now it's time that we face it. All I hear is to.
Okay, cool. Because this is showing that it's coming up from down here, which I like. Okay, maybe we can have it come up higher, faster though. Okay, so this has to come up. I think I'm going to have it come up much faster. Yeah, there we go. As much as possible, we want it to go in front of the camera because it's going to allow us to emphasize the idea that the Z depth. You know, if you see these things in the foreground that are also, let's see, that looks really cool. All right, let me go back real quick to here. Okay.
Forgive everything that has ever happened. Life is everything we can imagine, laid out in patterns of pain and passion. You cannot control it, so keep your compassion. There are no accidents, and there are no factions. There is no us and them, nothing to borrow or lend, no enemy or friend, and only forgiveness can make that happen. The only battle worth a fight, from the Rwandan genocide to the Seven Sisters, forgiving Orion for how he chases them across the skies. Forgiveness is forgiving, so give yourself this gift from time to time. And let all of your mistakes become all of your greatest gifts in disguise.
Okay, so here I'm noticing that the X is way too far out. And I think the Y can go higher so that it intersects more with the camera. And then I don't think we're going to need this. Okay, there. Okay. I think this is going way too far down. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. You know what I can do here? What I should have been doing a long time ago is pulling this way out on the Z. So it's got a really massive, because it has to get to that point at, I guess, 3 minutes and 20 seconds where the camera catches up to it. But while it's off screen, you can use it to, let's see. Okay, so while it's off screen, you can use it to create a trail of particles that you will need, or, not need, but use. Okay. Okay, I can't see them, so I'm going to then go to my particle emitter and the size of the particle, I'm going to increase that. So you can, okay, let's see. Okay, let's make sure that the okay, so we probably don't need too see? Okay, so okay, so I think it's going way too far on the Z. Now that I see it like that. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, so first thing, you always want to adjust the Z before you do anything else. So then if you do the Z, you can adjust the Y. And then, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so then, okay, let's see. Oh, well, okay, so the number of particles per second is way too high. Or is it? Oh, no, it's the size. Okay. Okay, so I can turn this one off here. So now it's like whenever the camera is off camera, you can really, sorry, whenever the particle emitter is off camera, you can really play with its position because I'm not using the particle motion isn't. Let's see if this will work. Okay, because now what I can do is play with this so that I get. I want the path to have come right in front of me. Okay, and okay. There we go. That's the kind of thing I need to get some more variation. Maybe even that.
Earth, water, fire, the air in my space. All of creation is only your face. Who can you turn to? Where can you run? The balance is equal in moon and sun. In the universe around, Mother of us all, in the rise up, in the fall. Which way do you run to? Are you coming out on you? When the cycle goes around, another one begins,
So many things Joe would say right now. I told you guys. Back to the fire.
yeah. I called Uncle Joe. He told me about beer and the buffalo. He told me that the roots need water, so we put it in the stars and we let go. I guess mama heard that feeling, so a few months later, see we hit the road. Yeah, we hit the road. On the chariot of flames, I was chanting the name. The woman came and so influenced. Well, I was in need of the medicine, the company of my brethren. The elk grew atlas once again. Oh, hey, and that's how we would say when the morning came. All through the day, see the my praise. This is straight old high, old grandfather. Drive away. Let the beat come and teach us how. Sipping from the floor all day long. Melodies come, we feel our call. Take a new birth and open up. Into the world we come to play. So we say, hello friend, hello friend, hello friend. Oh, oh, hello friend, hello friend, hello friend. Oh, oh, hello friend, hello friend, hello friend. Oh, oh, hello friend, hello friend, hello friend. Yeah. I cry, change your soul. Go back to the road, let your arrow go. Everybody should do it.
Hmm? Oh,
Is yours?
yeah.
What is to consider death? To observe skulls and skeletons. and to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. That is a very gloomy thing for contemplation. But it's like manure. Just as manure fertilizes the plants and so on, so the contemplation of death and the acceptance of death is very highly generative of creative life. You'll get wonderful things out of it. And the other thing to contemplate is to follow the possibility of the idea of total self. You don't have a good thing to be said for you at all. Utter rascal. Now, Christians have avoided this because although they say in their Episcopalian form of confession that we have erred and strayed from thy ways like lost sheep, and we have followed too much the devices and desires of our own hearts, too much. We have offended against thy holy laws. We have left undone those things which we ought to have done. We have done those things which we ought not to have done. And there is no health in us. But it ought to be different. And we're going to do our best to amend with the help of God's grace. That is a real common act. Because if you equate health with genuine love and perfect unselfishness, then in that sense there is no health in us when we look at ourselves from this point of view. Now, when you go deeply into the nature of selfishness, what do you discover? You say, I love myself, I seek my own advantage. Now, what is the self that I love? What do I want? And that becomes an increasingly ever-deepening puzzle. I'm going to talk to you this evening on the subject of the spectrum of love. We know that from time to time there arise among human beings people who seem to exude love as naturally as the sun gives out heat. We would like to be like that.
Here we go.
And by and large, man's religions are attempts to cultivate that same power in ordinary people. Well, anyway, this is therefore to say transformation of human consciousness through meditation is frustrated. So long as we think of it in terms of something that I myself can bring about by some kind of wangle, by some sort of gimmick. Because you see, that leads to endless games of spiritual one-upmanship and of guru competitions. Of my guru is more effective than your guru. My yoga's faster than your yoga. I'm more aware of myself than you you are. I'm humbler than you are. I'm sorrier for my sins than you are. I love you more than you love me. This interminable goings on about which people fight and wonder whether they're a little bit more evolved than somebody else and so on. All that can just fall away. And then we get this strange feeling that we have never had, you see, in our lives, except occasionally by accident. Some people get a glimpse that we are no longer this poor little stranger and afraid in a world it never made, but that you are this universe, and you are creating it at every moment. Because you see, it starts now. It didn't begin in the past. There was no past. See, if the universe began in the past, when that happened, it was now. See? But it's still now. And the universe is still beginning now, and it's trailing off like the wake of a ship from now. And the wake of the ship fades out, so does the past. You can look back there to explain things, but the explanation disappears. You'll never find it there. Things are not explained by the past. They're explained by what happens now. Cheer up. You can't blame anyone else for the kind of world you're in. And if you know, you see, that I, in the sense of the person, the front, the ego, it really doesn't exist, then it won't go to your head too badly if you wake up and discover that you're God. That's the birth of responsibility. Because otherwise, you can always look over your shoulder and say, well, I'm the way I am because my mother dropped me. And she dropped me because she was neurotic because her mother dropped her. And away we go back to Adam and Eve or to a disappearing monkey or something. We never get at it. The only thing you need to know to understand the deepest metaphysics is that for every outside there is an inside, and for every inside there is an outside. And although they are different, they go together. What do you believe when you say the word I, myself? It's so mysterious. It's so interesting. Because what you are in your endless being escapes your examination. You can't in the same way that you can't look directly into your own eyes without looking in the mirror. You can't bite your own teeth. You can't taste your own tongue. And that's why we always tell them how to make it. In the words of the poet, house, I, a stranger and afraid, in a world I've never made. If you awaken from this illusion, you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death, or shall I say, death implies life. You can feel yourself not as a stranger, not as something here on probation, not as something that has arrived here by birth, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolute. What you are facing, deep, deep down, far, far in, is simply the fabric and structure of existence itself. Well, I'm so and so. I was given this name by my parents. I've been so and so in college. I've done music as my profession. I produce little clouds. But it says forget it. Look, that's some story. That's all gone. That's all past. I want to see the real you are now. But nobody knows who that is. Because we don't know ourselves except through listening to our inner and consulting our memories. But then there's a real you. And that again leads us back to this question. Who are you? We should see how they play with this exam by the chords to get you to come out of your shell and find out who you really are. after your funeral, you will suddenly become somebody different, living somewhere else. They will say reincarnation means this, that if you sitting here now are really convinced that you're the same person who walked in the door half an hour ago, you'll be reincarnated. If you are liberated, you are out of your body. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. There is only the present. That's the only real you there is. The Zen master Dogen put it in this way, in Zen tradition. The spring does not become the summer. First there is summer, and then the spring. Where he says, when you settle down in the train, you read your newspaper, and so on, you are not the same person you a while ago lived the platform. If you think you are linking your moments up in the chain, and this is what binds you. The wheel of birth there. But when you know that every moment in which you are is the only moment, this comes into Zen. The master will say to somebody, get up and walk across the room. And he comes back and says, where are your footprints? They've gone. So where are you? Who are you? When we are asked who we are, we usually give a kind of recitation of history. What do you decide? What would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride a horse. We'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers. You do that. Forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money
downstairs helping us out with our washing machine. Shout out to him. He is the one who said, "Hey, why don't you post about this?" Okay, so okay, this part's all fine. Okay, I think I need to have it come much faster out. Okay, that's better because we need it to get the Z position needs to happen much faster, so that it's like not um, so that the sense of scale is going to also be determined not just by the sense of the Z depth, but also the speed of the elements. So you want it to be kind of already in place, more or less, when the camera comes to it. Okay. Okay, I see. So let me just add one more point right here. Right around here. So that goes. Okay. Like this. So now I'm just, as the sole is taken off from this part here, I'm just going to move over the X position so it's not so dramatic along the coast. It can still be a little bit because I like the parallel shape of the coast, but it can come up here more. that's awesome. I love that. Okay, because this is the next section, again, is going to focus um, 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 on depth. And so this is going to be helpful. Communicate that. Okay, so let me go if this lined up a little bit more here. Okay, and then I'm going to drop it here. Okay. Okay.